Hi, I'm Kyle, and this is White Collar Wisdom. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick summary of the book Peak Performance by Brad Stulberg and Steve Magness. Now these two guys, a management consultant and an Olympic coach, might seem like an unlikely matchup, but that's where the brilliance of this book comes from. I mean, what could an Olympic athlete and successful executive have in common? How could these two authors possibly have any overlapping advice that applies to both situations? The answer is simpler than you think. The smartest executive can apply his or her knowledge to make effective decisions without a clear head. And the most physically dominant athletes can't operate at peak performance without the right mindset. And that's the focus of this book. What's the right mindset, and how can we get to that level of clarity? I'm going to tell you up front, this book covers a lot. Now, it's not going to give you groundbreaking info in any one subject area. I mean, it covers time management, proper sleep schedules, time of day when you're most creative, how short walks are better than a cup of coffee. You get the point. The list goes on and on. But what makes this book so valuable is that the authors have taken all these studies, all this expert advice, and all these smaller concepts that were previously thought to be only loosely related, and they have perfectly woven it all together into one comprehensive guide on how to truly make yourself better. It's not just for your personal or your professional well-being, it's for the betterment of the overall you in every area of your life. Now, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll already know I read plenty of books, but I don't think any of them can hold a match to how well this book absolutely nailed my main takeaway, specifically in relation to how to understand the way our mind works and therefore how to actually implement permanent improvement in the way we think. Anyway, let's get right to it. My biggest takeaway: look at the brain as just another muscle. This is going to take some time to fully appreciate, but once you do, it'll totally reshape your understanding of it and how you treat it from now on. What if we stop looking at the brain as some immeasurably complex processing machine, and instead we looked at it as just another muscle? A muscle we work out every day, a muscle we use in everything that we do. So if your brain is a muscle, then every day it's getting a workout. So how can we use this new view from the book to make it stronger? How can it help us to learn new things and perform better? Well, there's a few ways. For starters, just like when we work out, let's pick the right weight. Too heavy, you risk injury. Too light, and you get no gains. And the same thing applies to learning. We need to challenge ourselves mentally just to the point of resistance to benefit from it. We need to go right past our current level of understanding to know what we need to learn next. This way we can build on the knowledge that we already have. And that's why using too much weight won't work. Same thing applies to going well past our knowledge base. Now again, too little weight and we gain nothing. We can't keep doing things the way we always did and expect to just randomly grow. And I think a lot of times that's what we do. We expect to just wake up one day and all of a sudden we're smarter now. And thank goodness, yay, life's better. No, it doesn't work like that. We have to push ourselves to get there. We have to find ways to challenge our minds to that point of resistance. So here's another example. During your last trip to Tricep Town, did you do all your reps in one pass? Just stood there and cranked out 30 reps straight through? No! You did sets because you're not an idiot. And whether your focus is 6, 8, 10, or 12 reps per set, doesn't matter. The bottom line is, if we tried to do 30 straight reps with the right weight, we're not going to hit 30. But if we break it up into sets, we can. Why? Rest. It's so easy to see and understand it when we talk weights, but for some reason, we don't treat our mind the same way. And instead of taking a quick mental break, we ignore the obvious fatigue and we try to keep going. And by never breaking the day up into sets, we end up never reaching our full potential, because when fatigue sets in, we cannot do what we're capable of. So take a break. Or even better, when you plan your day, plan it with breaks built into it. Now, another thing is going to be proper form. This is absolutely critical in exercising your mind, just like when exercising your body. You see this all the time at the gym. Guy has no business curling 50s, but he's right up there in front of the mirror, in front of everybody, right at the weight stacks, wiggling, straining, grunting. It's not enough to do it. You gotta do it right. Good enough isn't good enough. Imagine if surgeons took the "it's good enough" approach. People talk about 10,000 hours and how that means you're now an expert in your field. No, you're not. At least not automatically. I mean, if somebody went to the gym for 10,000 hours, but they only lifted weights for half of that time, used weights that were too light, and spent 10 minutes between each set chatting up every female that walked by, are they on the same level as the guy that worked all 10,000 of those hours, picked the right weights to challenge himself, and did it all with perfect form? No, not even close. Form matters, okay? Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And next up in this example is going to be multitasking. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, effective multitasking isn't real for about 99% of us. Have you ever walked into the gym and multitasked with your weight? You know, you just loop your wrist through a grip on the cable machine, grab yourself a dumbbell in that hand, and grab yourself a kettlebell and hook it all together and just do super curls. No. Why not? Well, you might die, or maybe you get lucky and just your gym membership gets canceled. But do you really think you could effectively use the same muscle to do 3 workouts at once? Of course not. We know that's not realistic or safe. So why would our brain be any different? But yet we convince ourselves that it can multitask. I want you to look at your web browser right now. How many tabs do you have open? Follow-up question. How many of them can you see at one time? And this is how multitasking works in your brain. Again, it's not real. We're just starting and stopping a rotation of tasks over and over, clicking over from one tab to another. If we would just do our mental tasks one at a time, we'd be finished sooner because we wouldn't lose all that downtime with start and stopping, and we'd finish with better results because we get genuine focus while we're working on that. And the last portion of this takeaway example is the need for recovery. The workout and the recovery are equally important. Without both, there can't be growth or improvement. Too much recovery time and we lose our gains. Too much workout and we burn out. Mental downtime is also crucial to being effective. The authors recommend at least one day each week to completely unplug mentally. That means no work calls, no checking email, completely unplugged. I know that sounds a little crazy, and fair warning, you've got to really want to be the best you possible to fully apply this book. It's true, any improvement, even a small improvement, is a good thing, but you didn't pick out a book called Peak Performance so that you could be a little bit better, did you? This book can show you ways to discover your true potential, your full potential. It'll make you really look at how you've been handling yourself, and it might make you question some things. And I think that's exactly what the authors were going for. If we can stop those self-hindering behaviors and break up those limiting thought patterns that have calcified in our minds over the years, we can truly start to grow. We can put ourselves on the path to achieve our peak performance levels. And that's what we all want. That's why you're watching this video. Yeah, it might not have been the approach you were looking for, but try it out. I mean, why do we bother looking for books on how to better ourselves if we're not willing to look at things through a different lens and try something new? Now, there's so much info in this book, plenty more than I covered here in this video. When you're reading it, you might feel tempted to highlight or write it all down, but you don't need to, because another cool thing about this book is that it actually has a full summary chapter at the end that recaps everything in outline form with little mini explanations next to it to remind you of the context. Now, I didn't purchase a physical copy of this book. I listened to this one on Audible, but I'll assume the print version has the same summary and it is very handy. I wish more books had that. Overall though, great book. It's about a 6.5-hour audiobook, if that gives you any idea of the length of it, and I highly recommend the read or the listen. So if you found this video helpful, please click on the like button below. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way, when I release a new video, you'll be the first to know about it. Thanks again for watching White Collar Wisdom.